And welcome to episode 1, season 4, True Patriot Outfitters podcast, folks. So glad to have you back here. Dude, season 4. This is crazy. When we first started off with this, I wasn't sure we were going to make it through a full year, whether or not it was going to be something we were going to get into. I look back at some of those interviews, some of those things that we did with that stuff, and my goodness, we've been very, very fortunate to have you folks at home, amazing supporters to keep us rolling, man. And on top of that, not only the you folks at home, but also the amazing guests that we've had on this show over the years. And tonight promises to deliver again. We've got a super cool dude that we're going to bring to you here, fellow kayak angler, but that's just the tip of the iceberg that this man brings to the show. And it's right in the vein of the work that we do out there. Before we get to that, let's make sure we pay the bills here. This episode brought to you by the Romans Warrior Foundation and all of its entities. Stop 22 the Hoosiers with Hearts, the Warrior Field Ops, and the Global War on Terror's Wall of Remembrance. A donation to the foundation basically gets divvied to those you can dog ear your donation to. One of those specific divisions, if one of them speaks a little bit more to you than the other. And that donation piece keeps us rolling down the road. We look big, on paper, if you will, but it's a small organization. We do not have corporate sponsors lined up yet. It is something we continue to work on to try to see. And folks bringing that wall around the country or moving those national recording artists or loading up a trailer full of kayaks and rolling across, 1,500 miles across the country. That stuff does cost a little bit. So those donations out there, please do consider the Romans Warrior Foundation. They keep us moving. Without them, we would not be. All right. The bills are paid. We are going to bring a young man in here today, and we're going to share a story with you with this guy, man, that is something that dropped goosebumps, dropped a little bit of dust in my eye watching a couple of these videos, man. This is some cool stuff. Let's welcome to the show here, Mr. Trey Dawson. Trey, welcome to the show, brother.
How you doing, Gene?
I am outstanding, my friend. I am outstanding. I appreciate you taking the time, dude.
It's an honor.
You literally just got off work, ran home here, taking care of Henry. What's the other dog's name?
Job.
Now, yeah, Job looks like... I was going to say, Job looks like he's got a little pity in him.
He does. He's an AM staff. Job's a huge part of my story too, man. So hopefully we can share a little bit of him. And
100%.
Yeah, he's a huge part of my story. And we'll get into that. How Job is really detrimental to why I'm probably here right now. So
I'll tell you, man. My family and I have a special place in our hearts for AM staffies. We were blessed to have Daisy, our AM staffie, for many years. She still is on my phone here. As you can see, a picture of her. We lost her a couple years ago to a second battle with cancer. She beat the first one, had surgery, got through it. Second one got her. And to this date, man, it's left us such a huge hole in our family. We know we're getting AM staffies again when the time comes, but it's just not there yet. You know what I mean? It's they're part of the family. And so you gotta take your time with that. So yeah, as soon as I saw you had a pity there, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Henry's got a buddy.
he does. And Job's been beating up on him since he's been a puppy. So now it's the roles have kind of reversed a little bit. So
that's awesome stuff. Well, let's start from the top, man. How you and I came to know each other and meet is basically I reached out to you because you are a fellow kayak angler. You compete in kayak tournaments, specifically jumping in the All-American Kayak Series. Of course, that, piqued my interest. I'm always looking at, different anglers that compete out there. But then when I started digging in a little bit more into your story and looking at the whole thing going, oh, okay, there's a lot more going on here. This one needs to come over to the TPO side of things. So talk to me, man. What, what brought you to where you're at here today with Recovery Outdoors?
Well, I want to touch on, so yes, All-American is something that I am so looking forward to doing this year. Last year I didn't do it. It was kind of intimidating for me, right? Last year was my rookie year. I wasn't able to make any events for the All-American last year, but this year my first one's on Lake of the Ozarks when it's
Sweet.
Cat King with Moyak. So I'm really excited about that one, and hopefully I can get a roll down in camo and be able to fish that in May. And then looking forward to lacrosse. So actually some fun stuff coming up for that. So this year's my All-American year. So all the veterans
Perfect.
and All-American, they're probably like, I don't know that dude.
So it's Moyak where you were competing.
It was camo actually.
Camo. Okay.
Camo was my first club. Fished them last year, my rookie year.
Perfect.
Yeah. I was kind of intimidated to kind of fish Moyak and All-American, right? I just didn't feel like I was really ready yet. So we're going to see what happens this year. So.
There's some hooks in there, brother. I mean, these guys are good. Yeah.
Right.
I can tell you, I'm that doofus that just goes 2 feet into, the deep end. It has been the most welcoming group of human beings, man. They smile and pat me on the back when they take my lunch money, but they're damn nice guys.
And I to talk about that's what made it so attractive at first, just to talk about the kayak side of things. Early on when I first decided to do this, these guys reached out to me. Marty Hughes, the Nico Jedi himself.
Amen.
I get the opportunity to be able to live in the same town as Chad Davison, and I'm constantly bothering him. I remember the first guy to actually reach out to me and actually give me a map of a lake and actually marked waypoints. When I got out of prison, I didn't know what a channel swing was, right? I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't know how to look up stuff. But Troy Inky, I was actually fishing Truman, and he sent me a photo, like a Google photo, and he showed me what like channel swings and different points and different ways to fish it. And that was just really cool. Tyler Cole sent me a package with some baits in it. I mean, these guys went above and beyond just to kind of reach out to me. And in that process, it was amazing. So, and there's probably 15 other guys that I'm not saying, Danny Johnson, Brock, and Mason, and everybody from Penguin Outdoors. All these guys just came together and just made this thing seem like I could do it, even though I didn't know and still don't really know what even I'm doing. But it's part of my it's part of my recovery. And to talk about that is, Recovery Outdoors. If anybody looks at my story, I've spent a majority of my life in prison, 27 different county jails. I've been to 5 different penitentiaries in 2 different states. I was strung out on heroin for probably 20 years. I got out of prison for what would be the 5th time, December 25th, 2019, and actually came to Columbia, Missouri, and got into a program called Into Action, which is a transitional place for guys that are getting out of prison to kind of take the steps into the pool instead of every time we get out of prison or guys get out of prison, you're just kind of pushed off the deep end and just kind of say swim, right? So got into this program, and that's kind of where Job comes in. So I got out December 25th, 2019, and it was Christmas Day. I remember going into the house, which is basically right across the street. I'm the activities coordinator here now, so I kind of live here. This is kind of my village. But my door pushes open. No one's really there, and this little pup, probably 6-month-old Amstaff, jumps up on my bed. And, so when I was in prison this last time, I joined the dog program. Puppies for Parole. When I got to prison, and I was in what they call the R&L house. It's just kind of a house where they're trying to assess where you should go and stuff like that. When I would go outside, going to rec or going to chow, I would see these guys outside walking dogs. And I was like, man, how cool would it be to have a dog in my cell? I didn't really have a desire to train dogs or to do that. I just wanted a dog in my cell. I just kind of wanted to find the easiest way to do my time. And I was like, man, I'm just going to hang out with a dog. So I applied for the dog program. I got in there and went strong for about 4 years with the dog program and ended up making lead dog trainer. And I just spent all my time and everything I could do just learning to train dogs. And when I got out, all that to say, that day I got out, knowing that I just had left the dog program, my door kicks open, and here comes this little 6-month-old Amstaff, and he jumps on my bed. And I remember clear as day, I'm up there, I'm reading my Bible, and I ended up laying down, and I sleep for a few hours, and I wake back up, and he's still in the same spot. So it's a joke. I don't know if I was in my bed or I was in his bed,
right?
But I know I went to the kitchen to get something to eat. I came back, he was in the exact same spot. I ended up sleeping throughout the night, woke up the next day, and he was still there. And I think at that point I knew exactly where I was and where I needed to be. So
that is awesome stuff, man. Now, I apologize that my equipment here, I'm still working out how to get sound from exterior sources into the podcast, but when you were talking about this, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of roll a little bit of this video here. Um, like I said, you won't be able to hear it, but this was the story you were just telling us. This is the video you sent me on this as you were going through this piece here. And I think there actually is a picture of Job in there. Now, is this video out at Recovery Outdoors or out at
It's
Into?
on it's on Into Action website too. So and then it's I can post it on Recovery Outdoors,
Cool.
but you can leave a link to it too. It's on a Venmo that Into Action did for a Christmas episode.
Perfect. But this is what you were talking about there in regards to the working with the dogs when you had your first opportunity there.
Yep. That was one of my first. That was one of my first dogs in prison right there. That was. Sometimes I watch this and I still get pretty emotional. That's Into Action, man. So,
You know, there's a lot of things that you just said that I can tell you that
there's Job.
there's Job. Nothing like him, man. Um, there's a lot of similarities that about your story, man, and this is what caught me is that the fact of the alone piece or not knowing where the resources are going to be and getting just, hey, see you later, total different realms. Okay, make no mistake, but there's some similarities in the fact that when we have our combat veterans, there, we spend 3, 4, 5, 6 years that they serve of training them, and then basically it takes 3 days and see you later, and they're sent back out to try to figure out how to come from that service life into civilian life, and there's challenges that come with that, right? And so
Absolutely.
in your case, so that's where I find when you were telling me that story, it's like there's a lot of similarity to that as far as what kind of resources do we have available for individuals like yourself, where and I hope I say this with the greatest amount of love and respect, is that you're kind of an anomaly, bro. I mean, it's not like our system is really designed to produce
It's not. So we
what,
know that 46%. So 46% of offenders will reoffend and be back within prison within 2 years.
right?
What's cool about Into Action in this program here is we've dropped that recidivism rate to 22% in Boone County. So that's pretty huge. But you're right,
That's
man.
huge.
It comes down to trauma. It all comes down to that trauma that it's trauma, and
Sure.
it affects everybody differently.
I was going to say, and everybody has their own version of it, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
where it
Yeah,
comes
one
to
trauma is not
civilian,
someone else's trauma. Yes.
right? And just kind of accepting that piece is, the main area. So, like I said, when I heard and saw where you were at with this, it's like, look, man, this is what we want, the system to actually, it should do is provide that opportunity. Now, the key in my mind for this, and you correct me if I'm wrong on this, but the key in my mind, one of the best things that we can do when we're kind of inside our own head and things aren't going so great, one of the best things you can do is find a way to serve others. If you can provide, service or support for somebody else when you're not, in maybe the greatest headspace, a lot of times it provides that great headspace for you, because now there's a purpose piece. Now there you can see an impact, a positive impact you're providing someone else, and it helps create drive, man. It creates purpose behind that.
Yeah, you're right. And we talk about that, and we talk about that in recovery a lot, about giving it away, about giving kind of maybe what was given to you, just and giving it away, and talking about that service work. Used to have a guy here who was a peer specialist in Into Action, and he would always come and get guys, and they would go down to the food pantry, or they would, you know, the food pantry was a big one. But he would always kind of encourage them just to go out and do something for somebody else. And there's something that happens in that process that, I mean, the end result for both people is
It's big, man. It's
yeah, you can't put a word to it. It's hard to explain.
For sure. For sure. No, it's a lot of times when we're talking, on the Stop 22 side of things, when we're losing our nation's war fighters and these warriors when they come home, a lot of it is the fact that they don't feel useful. They don't feel like they can contribute anything, or they don't feel like they have an outlet to speak to somebody, type deal. And I've spoken with, many of these warriors across the nation, and it's the same thing goes for a civilian, even our civilian life. We're going to go down that same path if we start feeling in those same areas. So yeah, if you create yourself purpose by, holy shit, what I'm doing here is having a really solid impact, and I can see it's making a difference with this. All right, well, let's give it another day, and just day by day, right? Go 1-0. That's what I used to coach in sports, is just think about it. Every week we're 0-0, and just take it one step at a time. That's all we need to do.
Yeah, it's them little bitty things. I think that's where people ask me. They say, Trey, because it has only been 4 years since I got out of prison, and there's been some just incredible things that's happened in that short period of time, and I can't tell you, I can't even begin to describe the horrendousness of my drug addiction. Right, I was literally in a casino digging rigs out of a biohazard box, right, to use. I was in a casino bathroom sticking needles in my foot. Um, it wasn't just some recreational where I had maybe an off and on again meth problem.
Right.
But and people ask me, they say, Trey, well, where did that change at? And for me, there wasn't one thing, right? I can't look back and say it was when I started my relationship with Christ, or it was when. There wasn't one thing. It was just a bunch of little bitty things that made that big thing.
Right. No, man, I get that. I get that completely. When total different, area, but there's same vein to this. I smoked for 28 years, and there was no one thing that was going to be the motivator for me. It took a series of many things to finally get me to the point where I could get rid of cigarettes. Now, I don't know how much better it is, but it's certainly not carcinogens, right? I mean, and I don't smell like an ashtray. I can walk
Right.
upstairs without feeling winded. I can smell and taste again,
Right.
so it's like, I know it's not as bad, you know what I mean? But it's
Well,
like,
so I thought that until I was. So this is funny. I was at Truman. I was at Truman. It was one of my first tournaments. It was actually a USA Bassin tournament, and I was scared. Like I was afraid to flip my kayak. I was staying in this little bitty cove. I didn't care if I caught any fish or not. I was just out there. So I get out there. I got my vape inside my little cup holder, and I got my Stanley thermos right there. And I get out to my spot. It's like 10 minutes before line's in. I pull my I pull my thermos out of my thing, and I hear, "Doop," and
sploosh.
my vape fell in the water, and I was like, it was the. I mean, I would have literally probably went back, parked my. I would have probably went back, got in my car, and but thank gosh I had some little nicotine packages on me. So then I kind of knew maybe it was a little bit of an issue, but like you said,
Right?
yeah, it's a lot better than smoking.
Dude, I had the same thing back in my boat days, long before kayaks. I was over at the Wolf River super early in the morning. I was staying at this fantastic little hotel where we had a boat ramp right on the Fox River chain there. So I literally walk out my hotel room, back my truck down, I'm in the water, so I can dock up right at the hotel. Well, I get all ready. I have the co-angler come meet me. He's in the boat. We tootle over. It's dark, completely. There's 150 boats all out here staging, And I go up to the front to get on my trolling motor, and as I lean forward and I grab my trolling motor and I pull up, I hear kasploosh. It was my vape. It was my vape mod about this size that was sitting in my PFD, and it just went "aye," and I'm thinking, "Oh hell no! I am not going all day long." So here the co-anglers looking at me like, "Oh, that sucks," and I'm like, "No, you don't get it, brother. You're going in the water if I don't have nicotine today." You're going to say something that's going to upset me. So I ran back to the hotel, got my little can of Skull wintergreen pouches, and I was like, okay, that'll get me through the day.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, man. It's, so the one of the things you had mentioned earlier about this, and I just want to kind of highlight on it because it's so true. You mentioned some players, some names on this, and the same can be said across the market, but I can echo your statements about Tyler Cole, Troy Yankee, these guys. They're men among men. They are high skilled anglers, but flat out they're just good human beings, man, and they're willing to help out if there's a dude out there that wants to get in our sport and get rolling. These type of guys that are associated around up there, that this community of the kayak angling is like nothing I've ever encountered before, and I absolutely love it. Proud to be a part of it, and it drives me to keep doing good things and keep trying to build the sport and do my part to contribute back the way they've contributed to us.
Yeah.
And that piece there when you were mentioning those names, I'm thinking like, man, that's fantastic. That's right at the core of what we have here.
And it's the little bitty things, right? Like I said, just somebody that I'm not obsessed with him, but maybe I am a little bit, and he'll see this. Marty Hughes. This dude sent me a Ziploc baggie full of Nico heads and Nikos, and he like actually wrote on a piece of paper, like not texting. He wrote on a piece of paper like how I hook it, and like this is the best way to insert the head weight, and just I actually put a bait in my hand that is my confidence bait now. And it's my kind of my go-to, and that kind of stuff, and
Marty's one of the godfathers, man. He's an OG of this sport. He's an ambassador.
He's a Jedi, bro.
Right.
He's a Jedi.
Yeah. And he's my first introduction to Marty, to share a small story. This was phenomenal. I'm at Wilson Lake. I'm staying at a campground. My camp gets all smoked from the night before. A little burst storm came through and wiped my tent out completely. So now I'm staying at a hotel, but I still have my trailer stayed at my campsite. Well, I come driving by the campground and I look over and I see this really cool camper rig set up with like some off-road tires. And I'm like, dude, the way this thing is set up, it's like, that is kind of really what I've been looking for. That wouldn't get wiped out with a storm. And I see this guy sitting over here, this gray-haired guy sitting over here, and I'm like, hey man, you mind if I ask you a couple questions about your rig? And he's like, no, come on over. So I come over and I start shooting the breeze with this dude. We get to talking a little bit more, and I'm like, Kayak Jack. Like, why do I know that name from somewhere? It was Marty, dude. And he talked to me. He didn't know me from Adam, and he welcomed me into his campsite. We started talking and sharing stories. And I leave that.
Did you get some Dutch oven peach cobbler?
He wasn't making it at the time, dude. I wish he was. But I get back to the hotel and I start, looking up the social media, and I'm like, holy crap, that was Marty Hughes. Yeah. And he's just the most down to earth, one of the, solid gold people, man. So that's super cool that you've had him to,
and the work that
kind of get you rolling,
like with Moyak, with the Jay Harmon Benefit Tour. So I had the opportunity just a few weeks ago to go up to Kansas City and meet Jay, and actually was able to buy his kayak, which I know that was really hard for him, and it was hard, but it's good to know that I'm excited to fish it, and being able to meet him, and
you bought Jay's kayak?
I did, yes. And
right, no shit, that's great.
Yeah. So now I have a kayak just like Chad Davison. So Chad thinks that I'm just gonna like make him do everything to it, which I'm going to try to do because he only lives not far from me. Like I already told him this weekend, I was like, dude, can we go out just so you can test run it? And he says, what do you mean by test run it? It's the same. It's a kayak, Trey. I'm like, I know, dude, but I just need you to get in it and just do your thing to it.
Put your stamp of approval on it, Chad.
Let's go, Davison. And do everything, bro. I just need you to get in there and put the Chad Davison on it for me. Just do it for me, Chad.
Put a little of that mojo in there for me if you don't mind.
But
that's good stuff, man. So we're talking recovery outdoors. That's was that the first one that you started up, or was it Backyard that was the first one?
Backyard Canine. When I got out of prison, I knew I needed to do something different, and I started going to dog parks, man. Me and Joe would just kind of get in the car, and at first, I was walking actually at first for the first couple months, and we'd go down to the local dog park, and I would just walk around. And start talking to people about dogs. I would be that guy at the dog park that everybody's like, "Oh my God, here he comes," because right? I would be telling them, only stay sit. I was telling them everything I used to kind of teach the guys in prison, and maybe it was perceived well, maybe it wasn't, but I just started training dogs for free, man, and I started training this dog for free, that dog for free, and before long, I was having people call me, and that's kind of what gave birth to Backyard Canine. Which, it's crazy. Backyard Canine just got voted #1 dog trainer in the Midwest 2 years in a row. So that's really cool, and
Congratulations.
I'm stoked about that, dude. That's a cool one.
And not to mention, Henry has got to be one of the most photogenic homies I have ever seen, man. He is so patient.
he
with this
he is
stuff.
he's my sponsor hound, right? I address him up all the time in a lot of different stuff, but a lot of them are dogs that have graduated and stuff like that. So
That is super cool, man. That's one that's close to home, for my wife and I. We've always said that if it wouldn't be the work that we were currently doing right now, getting involved with service animals and helping with that. I mean, we're such dog people, especially pitties, of course, but any dogs that we see out there, and to see them, being recognized for the true souls that they are. I don't have a lot of tolerance for people that treat animals like possessions. You know what I
right.
mean? It's like, I'm sorry, dude, this is a living creature with feelings. They have, is it the same as us? No. They have their own way of going about it, but
Right.
respect that life. You know what I mean? So I just I love seeing these when they can bring that kind of, helping. So when you're training him, are you training them for service work? Are you what exactly is
No,
the training?
no. So but it's kind of unique in a way where I tell clients and I tell people I'm not interested in teaching your dog how to sit, stay, down, come, wait. All that stuff is great, right? But that stuff you can
Sure.
really find on YouTube, and you don't need to hire a dog trainer to do that. What I'm really focused on is training the owner, right? Because you can put any behavior on a dog that you want, but if the owner doesn't keep it consistent, then that dog is just going to kind of go back to the path of least resistance every time. And then
Right.
just really trying to socialize the dog. Like I could care less if my dog sit, stay, down, come, away, all that stuff. All that stuff is great. What I want a dog is that's not going to be destructive when I leave the home, is going to play well with other dogs, is going to have good body language, is not going to have separation anxiety, and is going to have some confidence. So I feel like
Nice.
where we have kind of found our niche at with Backyard Canine is being able to really cue in on that socialization part, because that
That
is
is
the most
awesome.
important part. So
Dude,
that's
that
it.
is super cool. That's a very unique and very like I don't want to say holistic, but kind of holistic approach. I love that.
But I do got a buddy in Jeff City, and maybe you guys have heard of him, maybe not. I know we got a lot of military guys here. So Jason Howe with Canines on the Front Line, who does some amazing work in Jefferson City, Missouri, for veterans that are wanting some service dog work. So
That's
that's
awesome.
Jason Howe, yeah, with Canines on the Front Line. So
With the Romans Warrior Foundation Network, we have we met up with Tony Eaton, a retired Marine, and he's got down. I believe it's down the leash service where he out there in he's in Illinois, that area out there, and they've got basically a service dog training service that they have there. They do some phenomenal work with those folks in that area and abroad. Pretty awesome
last
stuff.
year got to meet that Craig and Fred. I don't know if you heard of him. He's the guy that was the Marine, I believe, Marine that brought that Afghan hound back from Afghanistan.
Oh, right,
He has
right,
a book
right.
called Craig and Fred, which is really, really cool, man. So yeah.
That is awesome stuff. So now, what? Just to kind of circle back to this, so we know what backyard canine is. What is recovery outdoors? That's the latest now. That's the newest thing that you've
Yeah.
embarked on.
So, and I really don't know what it is. I wish I had a big, beautiful spill right now to tell you this is what it is. I really don't know. God just put it on my heart to be able to start making Facebook posts and be able to make some posts and to show people, especially in my community here in Boone County and just abroad, that there isn't only one way to do recovery, right? And when I
Right.
talk about recovery, I don't mean just recovery from drug addiction. People, there's you can be in recovery from anything. And for me, what works for me is recovery through outdoors, is doing my recovery outdoors. That's where my meeting's at. That's where my sponsor's at. Sitting in a tree stand for 12 hours or wading a creek or mushroom hunting or backpacking or just canoeing. It's not just solely, you know, kind of tunneled to fishing. It's everything. And I thought when I could show people show people that they kind of get back in roots. Because so many guys that I talk to are like, well, I used to do that when I was a kid, or I used to do that when I was with my grandpa, or I used to do that when I was with my dad. And, there was a time there's probably in a lot of situations where it was kind of like pre-adolescence, adolescence, and younger teens when that was a really important part of their life. And then,
Yep.
drugs and life started to happen, maybe a bad relationship started to happen, and that kind of stuff just got pushed away. So being able to bring that in this new life of recovery, I feel it just opens up another resource.
So the area that we're talking about there, I can't say that what we do is recreational therapy because I don't have a recreational therapist on staff. Um, and we, until I suppose we have that ability, I'm not going and getting another degree. I've got enough as it
Right.
is and enough student loan to choke a horse. So I'm not picking that up and going after that. But I have had our daily functions audited by a couple of recreational therapists and had them look over what an average day out looks like. And they've given me solid feedback as to what needs to be in there to provide that type of healing. Brother, it is not by mistake that we get that bug of fishing, or we get, that hunting, what buck fever is, what big bass fever is. These things are real physiologically, impactful functions. We now know there's enough science behind this now and data to support the fact that we know something positive is happening physically and mentally.
Right.
They're not 100% sure why. They're still working that out. We're still in the process of understanding it. But what we know is it can be, it's not alternative, but it is complementary to other things that are going on. You know, I'm not a veteran myself, but I'll tell you, there were times in my life where there were things going on, and all I could think about day in and day out to find clarity was get out on the water. On the water, I'm at peace. On the water, things make sense. I can make decisions. And it's not even just about fishing, dude. It was just about being plugged in to everything that's around me, taking a few minutes to kind of pay attention to nature, and all of a sudden things, I found that was my zen, getting out there. And that's just not by mistake, you know what I mean? So that's super cool. You're doing something that is absolutely powerful, and getting guys and gals an opportunity to get outdoors doing anything,
Right. And
whatever
we see
floats your
that,
boat.
here also at Into Action. When I graduated into Action, our director Dan Hannikin asked me. He said, "Trey, would you like to come on as staff and maybe do the activities?" And I thought about it and I was like, yeah, absolutely, dude. So for 2 years now, I've been able to do the activities. So what that means is each month, I have actually got my paper in front of me here, where I plan and organize an activity for all our phase one guys. And these are guys that just got out of prison. So stuff like cabin fever, and we go to Tonka. We got the Huza Valley float trip twice a year. We go to Sight and Sound in Branson. Yeah, and a lot of these guys, like I said, a lot of these guys, it's their first, second, third week out of prison, and now they're going on a 2-day float trip, and they've never been floating in their entire life. And there's something with that social model, right? There's something with that social model, that real kind of t-shirt therapy, if you will, that's where the magic happens, dude. That's
Yep.
where the magic happens. That's where I see it happen. I mean,
Yep.
I'm not sitting here behind a desk telling you some clinical stuff. When I tell you that
Right.
I've seen this literally change men's lives, it's through these activities.
I couldn't agree more. I'm a big stats guy, right? I mean, I look, numbers don't lie, right? I mean, we can take different viewpoints about what the numbers say, but the numbers are the numbers, right? And stats are stats. And so I'm a big one for that. But what changed my mind and what stamped this home beyond a shadow of a doubt is when I saw it firsthand. When I had an opportunity to see what me sharing my passion with some absolute giants of human beings who had never had a chance to go bass fishing, and I saw the smile on their face and felt the genuine, hugs being given to me and thanking me for just spending my time with them. I felt guilty because it's like, I'm not doing anything, bro. I'm just hanging out with you, showing you something I love to do. But seeing the impact it has on them, and what was more important is, like you said, man, they were together doing it. Several of them together doing it for the first time. I'm like, whoa, that's huge, man. When you see what kind of healing that can bring, it's a powerful deal.
Yeah, it
That's
really
good.
is.
That's good stuff, man. Well, Trey, man, you're doing solid work out there, brother. I mean, you are keeping yourself extremely busy between. Now, I'm sorry. What's the name of it's Intuit? Is that who you work with?
So I actually have a couple different jobs. I
Okay,
work at Burl. I work at Burl Behavioral Health, which is a mental health agency here in Columbia, where I'm a peer specialist. That's just kind of somebody with lived experience. That so I work on the ACT team, where I work with transitional youth. That's kids between 15 and 26 years old that's got co-occurring disorders. Kind of like a kind of independent living kind of coach, if you will.
perfect.
Just yeah, so I get to do that, and then I'm the activities coordinator at Into Action, and then
Into
backyard,
action,
yeah, and then backyard canine, which I do Monday through Friday when I get off work.
right? Get off work to go to work.
Right.
Dude, I seriously, and I mean this 100% wholeheartedly. You're an inspiration, brother. I mean, that is some powerful stuff of what people are capable of. When you get it locked in your head of where you're at, and dude, for what it's worth, take it from a guy we've never met, never had a chance to shake your hand, but I can tell I've been around enough people and seen enough to this point in my many years. Dude, you're making a difference on a major level. Um, and if you something Brian Romans and I say all the time, especially about the stop 22 aspect, if we got to do it one at a time, then by God, we'll do it one at a time. We're not stopping. We're going to keep rolling. And whatever it takes, we're going to keep this thing moving. If we can hit 5 or 6 at a time, that's good, good numbers there. But if we got to do it one at a time, we'll do it one at a time. And it looks like that's the same path you're on, man. And that's awesome stuff.
Praise God.
Heck yeah, man. Good stuff. So let's talk a little bit. Let's bring it back into some fishing here. So I was wrong. You work with camo. And are you going to jump in any of the Moyak stuff this year
Oh
too?
yeah,
All right, there you go.
I just finished my schedule. So we've got.
Nice.
I've got. I've got 3 All-Americans scheduled, and I think I have. I think I
Yes.
got 5 Moyaks and some camos.
Heck
So,
yeah.
and that's where I was. Yeah, that's where I was kind of like, well, Trey, I'm probably shooting myself in the foot with any type of ROI with Moyak not fishing all the events. But camo's kind of where my heart's at, where I was first kind of introduced to the club. But man, I'm excited to get out there and fish lacrosse, and was really excited to maybe do. How do you say it? Do you say is it Minocqua?
Yeah. Minocqua.
Minocqua. I'm excited to do that, but I think I'm going to save that one. Hopefully, if it's on the roster for 25. But then in March going to 10 Killer, and that still is like
So you qualified for the national championship with Bassmaster then.
yes, yeah.
Hot damn,
Yeah.
dude. That is awesome stuff.
I don't know how I did that
Congratulations.
one, but they say even a broken clock's right twice a day. So uh, it was a Nico. I'll tell you right now how it was. It was a Nico. It was a Nico.
Damn
Marty
straight. So many young guns coming up. They think it's chatterbait and a frog. They think that's the thing that gets her done. But man, more times than not, it's that wacky rig. It's that Nico. It's that Senko.
And it was crazy because I didn't have a bite. I didn't have a bite till probably 9:40, and my first bite came when I said, "Well, I'll just start getting behind some docks." And so I make a horrible cast, and it ended up going on the dock walk. So it's on the dock walk, and I'm trying to pop it off so it doesn't get loose, and it just kind of drops in the water from the dock walk, and it just from the splash that it made just from the fall, it just got smacked. And I was like, "Whoa, okay." It was a decent. I think it was 16 and a half, maybe 17. So I just said, well, try to present it to him a little bit different. So what I started doing was I was kind of bank shotting it off seawalls, or I would put it up on the bank and just kind of drag it in. And it seemed like when I would do something other than just cast it into the water, it was getting smoked. So, and I just kind of rinsed and repeated that, and I caught 5 of the right fish.
dude, you let them tell you what they wanted. You gave
Right.
it to them, and bam, you
Right.
hooked it up. Yeah, that's how it's
Right.
done. as goofy as it is or whatever, they want bubble gum, colored that day, give them
Right.
bubble gum. That's awesome stuff, man. Yeah, there's been more checks written on the Cinco, the weightless, the wacky, the Nico. There's been more checks written on that, and it's the cold hard, truth. Out here in Colorado, we don't get that as much because our lots of clear water, lots of heavy pressure water, real cold, mainly smallies that we're playing with. So it's drop shotting country out here. You got to get your finesse game on in a major way out here and get that forward. Their forage they're eating is not big, so you got to small tackle, small gear. One of my best stories about what Colorado looks like to others. Very good buddy of mine, Joshua Deal. He's a friend of the TPOs. He's an Air Force vet. He fishes hardcore on the Bassmaster side and Hobie Boss. Dude is just he'll catch fish in a bathtub, right? I mean, he's just a stick. And he's a giant of a human being. Homie's like 6'7", 300 pounds. I mean, he's a big boy. And we're staying at Pickwick Lake last year. We're staying at an Airbnb together. I'm down there fishing one of the Bassmaster events. And I got my truck and trailer and everything pulled underneath the carport. He's got his set up right in front of the Airbnb. And we're going through tackling gear and we got music on. Well, it's getting a little bit later and I'm still working on my stuff. He comes over and, I'm 6'1". It's not as if I'm small, but he's like towering, he's looking over top of me and he's looking in my rod locker on the trailer there. And he's like, is that the size of gear that you fish with? I'm like, hey, listen, Georgia boy, in Colorado, we need it's not the size of the bait that matters, Josh. But yeah, when he looked at it, he goes, oh my God, you actually fish with that small a bait? I'm like, yes, we do.
Oh, that's funny.
That's awesome stuff, man, that you're going to get a chance to test in those, all the way around the board, getting some camo in there. I mean, Missouri, man, what an amazing place you guys have for your clubs there. Camo, Moyak. I mean, it is, obviously it's the mothership for the All-American. It's our home base, is where we're run out of there. But, yeah, man, it's just in just such a beautiful, beautiful state for fishing. Holy Moses, it's everywhere.
From all the way up north where you are fishing some dirtier water to down to Table Rock. So we kind of got it all. We got a little bit of everything. So it can make somebody more universal. And I think that's why so many, good anglers come out of Missouri, is because of that diversity. So.
People forget, dude, that Ozark lakes those are highland reservoirs, man. And you got to learn your finesse game in those lakes. Right. It isn't just power fishing all day long. Now, there's time and place for it, but a lot of clear water. Some of them, Table Rock is not a lot of grass. I mean, you know what I mean? All in all, it's a lot of rock, so learning that. So yeah, it makes sense that you guys gotta learn everything. And then your river systems, holy Moses, you got some amazing rivers. You're not going to be taking that Old Town though on too many rivers, are you?
I'm taking that Old Town everywhere. I'm going to take it to La Crosse. Is that a river? That's a river, right?
That's a big ass river, though. That's a good place to take it, Old Town.
Yeah, I won't put it in no skinny water. Hopefully, I'll get another kayak for that. But yeah,
good stuff. Awesome.
Actually, well, listen, man, take it out for the first time on Saturday. So
there you go. I'm now I'm really jealous because pretty much I think my open water season might be done and over with right now. We have water we can fish, but the closest one is about 2.5 hours away for me. It's clear down in Pueblo, because all the other lakes up here, they close off ramps and close off the body of water. They don't even let us on them because they're all man-made out here. So they drain them down, so that's where I get super jealous. I keep trying to convince the wife, December through like March, let's live in Missouri and then we'll come back to Colorado here. Well, listen, man, did we get all the entities in play here? Was there anything additional that you wanted any message you want to throw through there, or did we pretty well cover it all?
I think we covered it, man. I did want to just say thank you to Excite Baits and FX Extreme Rods just for believing in what, Recovery Outdoors is doing, and being able to kind of get on board with that. And um, yeah, they're
That's
two companies that are close to my heart.
so FX custom rods and then Excite Baits.
Yep, yeah.
Dude, you can't do it without that support, right? I mean, the support of
Right.
those
And
guys.
when I first started, I thought I needed to be the kind of that bro staffer, right, where I needed all the cool logos. And I thought that's what made me that's what made me a fisherman. You know what I mean? And I had some conversations with some people early on that said, Trey, you just need to worry about fishing, and maybe learn what a channel swing is before you worry about a terminal tackle sponsor.
Right.
So I kind of had to dial that back, but they're also, Mission Fishing Jigs in Kansas City, who, this guy gives all his proceeds to church camps, and solar bat sunglasses. So these are all 4 people that really believe in the, Recovery Outdoors, and have came on board to kind of help me get it off the ground. So
That's awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, folks, make sure to get out there to Recovery Outdoors. Give them a follow there at Hope Life 573.
if you guys got any dog questions, if you guys have any dog questions, I don't care, veterans, everybody, anybody, if you have something going on with your dog, man, I have free dog training. Just message me. If you got something we need to work through, maybe we can do a phone thing. This isn't me trying to sell backyard canine. This is free from me, from my heart, to any veterans out there that want some dog questions answered. Shoot me a message and we'll work through it together.
That's awesome stuff, brother. Awesome stuff. Backyards K9 Facebook is at BKYDK9. Hit them up on there. Give them a like, give them a follow. And like you said, you got questions, bounce them off. And definitely, I mean, we always knowing that you got like 13 jobs and you're constantly on the move there. So, well, listen, we're super stoked to see what the next costume or see if Henry's going to be on the Santa side. Is he in the elf side, Grinch side? Good. I'm excited to see what you got brewing up there, what Henry's got in mind for that.
Got something for him.
That's right. I mean, and as a Bronco fan, I saw the ugly sweater day when it had that Kansas City.
You said Bronco?
I told you I'm in Colorado, man, and I saw that KC thing, and I'm like, oh, I still like him, I suppose.
Hey, you guys have had a streak, man. You lost one last week, but man, you guys have been doing pretty well.
It's a funny thing that's going on here, but it's there's a lot of rebuild that was needing to happen, and maybe it's starting to, some things are starting to take effect. I think the biggest thing was getting rid of a few elements in the locker room was a big, big deal. Culture is everything. I coached for 18 years in sports, and I can tell you culture is everything. Absolutely. Especially whether it's grown men or whether it's 10th graders, on
and
a
that's in life in general, Gene. Culture. Yeah. Your group of friends, your recovery, everything that we just talked about. If the culture isn't right within that, nothing else is going to be right.
Isn't that the truth, man? 100% through and through. Well, stick with me here, Trey. But after we roll this exit here, and you and I'll chat afterwards, there, folks. At home, make sure for the True Patriot Outfitters, you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook. Chances are you're watching the recording through YouTube. Hit that subscribe. That is a major, major deal for us. More subscriptions we can get, the bigger appeal we can have out there to send the mission out and let people know about the resources that are available to them. Meeting cool people like Trey, meeting people like the Romans Warrior Foundation and the True Patriot Outfitters, and making sure that we can get the help and the healing out there where it needs to be. Subscribes, likes, follows, all that good stuff out there. As usual, folks, we couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. A lot of love, tight lines, and be safe.